Namaste, I am Ellie Orion, spiritual mentor. In this video, I decided to share my experience when I met a Mantis being from Antares in constellation of Scorpio. You're going to find out what kind of system he came from, how you can understand Mantis healers, and everything that I learned from this galactic race. Of course, not all galactic races are higher in vibration. Some of them can, of course, be very unsettling when we make contact with them or when we communicate with them. So similar to reptiles and some other unsettling galactic races, Mantis galactic race can also be perceived as abductors, or they are very much closely connected on planet Earth with this agenda of lower frequency. So many people are actually still afraid of this galactic race. But one of my missions is, of course, to talk about galactic races in a way that we understand. There is no good or bad, but we can evaluate and associate with different characteristics no matter how we perceive them. So let's start with that information. Of course, lots of people who had experiences with abductions, they would sometimes say that in those scenarios, some Mantis beings would be somehow in the background, and they would observe the situation. So lots of them were actually within their matrix used for specific situations like that, similar to some reptiles and some greys. Similar to us, we are also in the matrix and we are also going out of the matrix. But only because there are specific beings who in the matrix were used or they served a low vibrational cause, it doesn't mean that the whole galactic race is like that. Similar how, of course, on planet Earth we can't say there are only good people or bad people. There is a variety of us. So now when we got that out of the way, it's important to know that yes, of course, it is possible to make contact with Mantis beings who is very high in their vibration. Even though when we do make contact, it can be unsettling, because it is true, they really do look like Mantis beings, like this insectoid form. So that can be very unsettling if you are making the contact for the first time. So there are lots of different varieties, lots of different heights and colors, and they have different rules within their system. So now I'm going to base my experience and information that I give you on the higher vibrational Antarian system in Mantis galactic race. So for me, when I started to tap into the energy, basically I was preparing myself one night just to meditate, and I did place an intention that I want to meditate and maybe find out some information, because in my work I do energy scans, I work with clients. So for me it's also important that I not only obtain information and akashic information for my clients, but that I also keep on working for my own inner growth. So 3 years ago it happened, and I was actually preparing myself for this meditation. And then with like glimpse of my eye on the right side, I saw this very tall, maybe like 10 feet tall being that I've never felt before. So I didn't see him immediately as a vivid picture, but I could see a very strong pearly white frequency, or like just an energy stream in my bedroom. So as soon as I saw the energy and sensed it, I understood that it is a Mantis being. So it wasn't actually terrifying, even though it had all those characteristics that are actually unsettling. But I work with lots of energies, and I can see lots of energies and entities and communicate with them. So I exactly know how to perceive in moments like that when I have an unknown encounter. So in the moment when I understood that a mantis being is standing in front of me, I asked him, what is your role? Why are you here? And he said, I am observing you, so I would like to follow you for a few days just to, be acquainted with your energy, the way how you live. And of course, I asked immediately for his intention. And I understood in the white frequency, it was very high vibrational. So I actually said, okay, you can observe me, I just understood it's not going to harm me. And I co-create, as I said, with lots of different energies. So I also respect their own research purposes, the same way how we investigate in the astral or meditations, they also sometimes do it. So for the next few days, he was always perceived in our apartment by me and people that I lived with. And it was so funny because there are a few of situations when a person would be walking through the hallway and they would start screaming because they felt something is in front of them, but there was nothing. So there are so many different encounters. And it was actually for me amusing to see how, even though people that I lived with were not conventionally spiritual, they could still sense this dense energy. So that was it was a different experience because usually I'm the one who can sense and others don't. So after a few days, when we screamed a lot and we basically sensed this energy a lot, I was entering another meditation and I was sitting on my bed, and then the mantis being came to me and he said, you know what? I'm a godfather of your child. So I was a bit shocked. I was like, what do you mean? Because that information is not something that our mind can actually perceive in a way that it makes sense. So I was very curious about the information that he's about to tell me. So then he asked me, am I allowed to touch your solar plexus? And I learned in my work that I should always protect myself, my energy field when I work with energies. I should always ask for an intention and try to communicate. So I asked the mantis being, why? And if you would like to do so, is it okay if I protect myself, if I protect my solar plexus and that you then do it? And he said, yes, fine, that's all right. So that is also the way how I understood that it's very high vibrational energy, very like a guardian energy. That's how I felt him. So now the most intense experience started. I was sitting on my bed and I just felt him, and it was like a very vivid contact. So he started to place his hand on my solar plexus, and that was the moment when I felt as if I'm like falling backwards in this sort of trance state meditation. That's how it felt for me. So as my body was relaxing, I was leaning back. And then the vivid messages started, and I understood as soon as I, started to process everything that I was seeing like a movie. I understood that he's actually sending me holographic images, and that is one of the most interesting characteristics of mantis beings. They're very good with telepathy, but also with holographic images that they project into your mind in order to allow you to understand the message in a more coherent way. So I felt my body falling backwards, and I then went into this very, very deep state of mind. And because I remembered my past lives in galactic race of Orion and Sirius and different experiences, I also remembered my education and the schooling system in Orion in 6th dimension, where I grew up in one of my incarnations. And that is the memory that actually got triggered, and I started to build on that etheric memory. So I understood that when I was a child in Orion system, they were sending us to different places, to different systems, or to other galactic races system, in order that we learn the specific focus of that said system. So telepathy, astral travel, healing abilities, teaching, everything that can support our soul gifts for the future incarnations. And the first memory that I got was that I was sent from Orion schooling system. I was sent to Antares in constellation of Scorpio, like a healing excursion. So I can observe how they heal in the Antares system, and I can learn a lot from them. So the meditation started in a way that I immediately downloaded all that etheric memory. So I saw myself that I was entering some sort of underground caving system, which was so structured and so perfect in its structure, and everything was covered with magnificent crystalline frequency that actually vibrated very strongly in this sacral and creative energy. So I could perceive it as orange crystals. And when I was moving through the caving system, I could also feel and sense that in that memory, I'm just a child, so I'm just Orion child. And no matter where I went, so it was completely dark, but only that listening and the lights from the crystals, it was actually lighting or making the pathways lighter, and that I can see where I'm going. So the energy was not terrifying or even eerie, it was more like mysterious. And the funny feeling when I was going through the underground caves, I can sense that the Mantis beings are all around. So you can't see them, but you just feel that they're there. So it was very mysterious feeling to feel or to experience. And I would explain it maybe visually when you're in the forest and you hear sounds but you don't see anyone. It's the same feeling. So because I was in this underground system, I started to hear some sort of baby cry. Of course it wasn't similar to the sound of baby crying, but my mind translated it that way, and it was more like some sort of screeching or asking for help or screaming, but the sound was not human, so it's very hard for me to try to explain, but the closest is baby cry in physical reality. So because I was in this dark underground system, I was following the sound, and as soon as I came, there was this place where the stone went a bit above the Mantis beings, and there was this Mantis family. So the first thing that I saw is the Mantis baby that was, letting out these screeches and these sounds, and I understood its suffering. So it was like a little baby mantis. And my first intuitive reaction was, can I touch your solar plexus? And then I got triggered into exact moment when the mantis in my bedroom asked me, can he touch my solar plexus? So it was like a full circle of my understanding what is actually happening. And I was allowed. So I placed my arm on the solar plexus of this baby, and I wasn't actually focusing on the healing. I was just, focusing on connection. So they do connect in the solar plexus area. The trust in the system is very sacred. So the baby started to relax more and more, and I don't recall those specific details. What happened to the baby? Maybe because it's not even important. The experience was more important, or like the general message. So after the baby mantis calmed down, its father and the guide or the mantis that got in contact with me was its father, even though the energy was neutral. So it was like this motherly energy of protection, but very strong, very strict energy of masculine provider. So I felt at the same time like this guardian neutral energy, but like mother-father role. And then he said, you help my baby, so I'm going to help your baby. I'm going to be the godfather of your child. And that was the moment when I woke up. I woke up from that meditation as if I was, as if I snap out of that trance. So even now, I don't really understand how deep in brainwaves I went, but it was an amazing experience. So as soon as I woke up from that experience, the telepathic messages continued. So the Mantis being was still standing in front of me in my bedroom, and it showed me these holographic images, and now I understood our connection. I understood, okay, I already met you in one of my incarnations. So something beautiful happened. I'm not a mother yet. Maybe one day I will become a mother in this physical reality. But the Mantis said, I am going to take this role, and I am a godfather of your child. And it was so intimate, and it was so beautiful to experience that, because as I said, it's very hard information to grasp. So in the next few weeks, what happened? Amazing co-creation. And that is actually my inspiration to share this story, because we don't know what happens when we connect with healers from the higher dimensions. So by this Mantis guide, by the Godfather, I was basically guided, and he gave me instructions to do some, routine checks, to go to doctor, but it was so subtle. It wasn't like I wasn't going through anything. Nothing was wrong with me, but subtly I always co-created through his instructions that I end up being checked by someone. And it always co-created the situations where I was told, oh, good that you came, perfect that you came, because now this and that is not going to, evolve or develop, or like as if I was catching the vibrational disbalances in my physical body before they happen. So I was amazed, and everything was, focused towards my feminine health, towards the possibility to have a child, as if he was truly, supporting me on my path, supporting my female body, that one day, if I do decide to have a child, that, he pays back and he gives back, because I protected his child once. So something that I also learned from my 12 Orions is healing can happen in the physical reality, even before the physical manifestation appears. So vibrational disbalances don't even have to start to create, we can even then start the healing process. And that is why people who are healers or work with energies and connect with different galactic beings and guides, that's why sometimes they appear, untouchable. They're always healthy, they're always in good shape, nothing ever happens to them. It's because, from my experience, I learned sometimes you're truly guided by the, universal healers to stay safe and protected in this physical body. But also the message that I want to give you, if you are spiritual, if you work with energies, and if you do get sick, or you're going through some vibrational disbalance, or even maybe some manifestation that sounds, impossible to heal, understand that manifestation does not say anything about your spiritual ability, because we are in this physical reality. We have to protect this body, we have to cherish it, we have to do everything, to stay alive and healthy for many, many years to come. So know that if you're going through something, it's okay, but also understand that you can always ask for help. You can always, attract guides and energies. And something that in my experience, and also when I talked with other people and clients and everything, as soon as you are attracted to this specific information about Mantis energy, you're connected with them. Because not so many people are gonna click on this video. The ones who click, the ones who, you know, feel attracted, they are open to the Mantis energy. And always, or often it happens, when you hear or read something about Mantis energy, the mental openness or the process of mental openness expands so quickly that you can truly co-create or even yourself experience the Mantis energy. So, you know, stay open and enter your meditations with open mind and understand that we are always co-creating with other galactic races, no matter what our perspective or perception of them is. We can always co-create in the most beautiful way for our highest good and for the highest good of the beings who are, you know, in this life with us. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you had some sort of Mantis experience, please share with me in the comments. I would love to know. Until we meet again, Namaste.